Hey everybody, my name is Brian Dodd and I'm with Injoy Stewardship, and we're here to talk about, one of these subjects that a lot of people struggle with, and we just kind of want to demystify it a little bit. And we want to talk about discipling financial leaders in your church. And we've invited our Vice President of Consulting, Chad Aukland, who works with some of America's greatest churches and really countless financial leaders himself as part of that process, just to kind of help give you some guardrails, some resources, and some tools to help you disciple these people that God has just uniquely blessed. So, Chad, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brian. Great to be here. Pastor, church leader, great to be with you. I know this is a sensitive topic for a lot of you. You're not sure how to broach this or how to approach these people or these families, so that's something we're going to help you with today.
Yeah, great. So let's just start unpacking it. When you hear the term discipling financial leaders, what goes through your mind?
So developing relationship.
Okay.
A lot of times pastors will keep these people or these families at arm's length so as to not upset or disturb their giving patterns. They feel like if they get too involved, it might change how they give or when they give or what they give. And so what I tell pastors is the number one responsibility when you're discipling financial leaders is to first develop that relationship.
Okay. Now, embedded in developing the relationship is knowing who they are.
You got to know who they are. And again, we have identifiers that we use to help identify, within churches who is a financial leader. Pastor, church leader, you're going to have to use, parameters that work within your environment, but you do have to know who they are. And some of these people, you won't know them as well as you'll know some others. A lot of pastors assume if the people are a financial leader, they know them. That's not the case in most situations. They know some of them, but not all of them. So identifying who they are and then beginning to work towards building a relationship is very important.
Okay. And, should you know who they are and things of that nature is probably a webinar for a different webinar.
Right.
So we're operating under the assumption that the business office is, you've given them a range.
Yeah.
And the business office is letting you know who they are and things like that. I think it'd be interesting. I've never seen this done, so I want us to give it a try. We're going to, do a real life scenario. We're going to role play. You're a pastor and I'm a financial leader. Let's walk through. We've got a relationship built and we're having lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And let's walk through how you would disciple me.
Yeah.
All right. So we're at lunch and you're the pastor, and go ahead and start.
Is this our first meeting?
No. Like you said, we've got a relationship. All right. Well, let's do this. Let's do a first meeting. Let's start at the beginning.
Okay. Brian, great to be with you. We've met a couple of times. I recognize that, through multiple channels, you are a leader in our church. And before we go any further, I just want you to hear from me as your pastor. Thank you. And thank your family for the way that you lead in so many different ways, the way that you serve, the way that you give, the way that you support our ministry in so many different ways. I want everybody that does what you do to hear from me, thank you. And thanks to your family for the sacrifice you've made for us. And I just felt like it'd be a positive thing for us to maybe get to know each other a little bit better and look at what developing a deeper relationship would look like. So, hey, before we go any further, just tell me a little bit about your family and how you guys are doing. And I know we don't need to go into that right now, but that's how I would start that conversation.
Okay. Well, I've already picked up a number of items.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If we're having this conversation, I'm processing what you're saying. You identified me as a leader, not just a financial leader.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So number one, that I love that approach.
Well, and here's why I do that. And here's why I suggest that. Because it's not just for the recipient, but it's also for the deliverer.
Okay.
So for a lot of pastors, I get asked the question, well, I don't know who gives what. How do I broach that in this situation. You said something earlier about giving your business office or your finance office a range and getting a list of names. So there in and of itself, you still don't know who gives what.
Right.
But even when you go into that meeting or into that setting with the husband, the wife, both of them, whomever it might be, thanking them for being a leader sets the pastor at ease, because this isn't just a financial conversation, and it communicates to the recipient, to the financial leader, that you appreciate more than just their giving. They're more to you than just a number.
Okay. Second thing, you said thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Why is expressing appreciation and gratitude important?
Because we don't do it enough.
Okay.
People, not just financial leaders, people don't do things to be recognized. But dare I say, we all like to be thanked.
Right.
And if you, as a financial leader in my church, don't hear from me first and foremost, thank you, then we've missed from the very beginning. Appreciation is so vitally important, but unfortunately is so not used.
Yeah, I think too what gratitude does is it reinforces the positive behavior within their discipleship.
Sure, absolutely.
It's an encouragement. Okay.
Yep.
The third thing you said, okay, so you identified me as a leader, you expressed appreciation, and now you said, I want to build a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Why is a relationship with a financial leader is so important, and what should that relationship look like?
Trust. We come back to that oft-used term, trust.
Uh-huh.
We look at the life of Jesus, and he was the best at this, building relationships and earning that trust so that the relationship or what needed to happen next can go to a different level.
Yeah.
And so I want this financial leader to know that it's more important than anything for me to develop a relationship and just get to know one another, and ultimately for me to learn how our church can minister more effectively in their situation and in their life than it is for them to know we're going to go through some regimented discipleship study. I'll be honest with you. When I hear the term discipling financial leaders, almost all of what I hear is developing relationship.
Right. Well, here's why I think relationships so important. Everybody wants something from a financial leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will you give me a job, or can I get a raise, or will you invest in my idea, or let me have a little bit of your time and run something by you? Everybody wants something from a financial leader. Mm-hmm. My heavens, if you got kids, I don't even have to tell you about that.
Right, right.
But the pastor has a unique opportunity that they can have the one relationship no one else can have, and that's just be their pastor.
That's right. That's right. And I was working with a church in the Midwest, and if I were to tell you the names of the websites that this gentleman who went to his church owned, you'd know exactly who I was talking about. And this man wanted to have a lunch with his pastor, and I happened to be in town, so I was invited along. And he slid a check across the table to the pastor at the lunch for a significant 7-figure amount.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, the reason my wife and I are giving this to you is because you and your wife have focused solely on building relationship with us, and it wasn't transactional.
Right. Yeah, I think the number one thing when you're meeting with a financial leader that you need to know is, are they saved?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should know the spiritual condition of their heart.
Yeah, and don't assume.
Correct.
Don't assume. I mean, lots of really, really good people and really philanthropic people, even to the local church, I would question whether or not they have a relationship with Jesus.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you can do, quote unquote, good deeds or good works, and a financial leader is going to express that financially.
That's right.
So, yeah, you're correct on that. I think another thing spiritually, Chad, is when you're talking with a financial leader, what else is going on in their life? How's their stress level?
Yeah.
What's their work-life balance?
Yeah.
How's their marriage?
Yeah.
How are their kids doing?
Ultimately, I want to know, as their pastor, how our church can minister more effectively to them.
Okay.
That it goes back to, it's more important that they understand what I want for them versus from them. most likely we're already receiving something significant from them. And maybe they've never experienced what we want for them. And so I want that to be what we lead with.
You know, we might have just answered, and if so, you can say that. The term discipling financial leaders, and we're basing that on trust and relationship. Okay. How can a pastor serve a financial leader? Someone who supposedly has everything this world can offer. How can a pastor serve a financial leader?
You know, I don't want to oversimplify it, but I think one of the things that we have been experiencing in the last couple of years economically is a phenomenon in the local church, and really with any charitable organization, are the financial leaders have been hit at levels financially that they may have never been hit, at least since 2008 to 2010.
Right.
And they're dealing with things like hearing business leaders say, I'm going to have to make payroll out of my personal savings account. And so for the first time in a long time, what most other people are dealing with, financial leaders are dealing with now too.
Okay.
Just simply being there and making yourself available to hear and to support through prayer and other ways, those financial leaders, I'm telling you, that it goes so far right now, just being heard. You know, hey, you're not assuming that because I'm a financial leader, everything's okay.
Yeah.
And you do care about making sure that me and my family are okay.
What would you say to a pastor who may or may not say it, but they're intimidated by the financial leader? What would you say?
The only person that's awkward in that moment is the pastor. The only person that's uncomfortable in that moment is the pastor. Okay. And here's why I say that, because financial leader or not, when the pastor wants to meet with you and just hang out, just have a conversation, get a cup of coffee, have lunch, whatever, they're honored that the pastor would reach out and take the time to spend with whomever it is. So they are looking forward to this conversation. Rest in the fact, pastor, that these people want to spend time with you. I very rarely hear people say, I wish my pastor would stop spending so much time with me. It's the polar opposite. So you might not feel comfortable because this is under the auspices of financial leader, but understand, because you're not leading with that, this is a relationship opportunity, and they want that with their pastor.
Okay. So now we'll skip, because earlier you asked me, did you have a relationship or not? Okay. So now we'll say we've done all the things you've just coached us through. We have a relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. Our kids play ball together. We've been in meetings together. We've done some things together. But you want to speak into my life about something, and may even invite me into something as an opportunity.
Yeah.
How does that conversation go?
So we say this a lot around here, maybe not a lot, but we've said it in the past. You know, kings talk to kings.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things that I have found very effective is that when a pastor invites a financial leader or leaders into another group of financial leaders, what that does just practically is it alleviates the amount of time, pastor, you have to spend with all these meetings. It also puts these people into a collaborative environment that they thrive in, as long as it's people in similar situations as them. And so I would simply invite them, hey, we've spent a lot of time together. We've got a great relationship. I'm starting this fill in the blank, whether you call it a study, a group, a community, whatever it might be. I'd love for you to come and be a part of it. I think you can add tremendous value, and I think tremendous value will be added to you by being a part of this. Give an explanation of what it is, and then invite them to come alongside.
Yeah, I think that's incredibly wise, what you just said. And here's been my experience, because I've been involved with some of those groups and things of that nature. When you invite them into that group, they love it because, once again, kings talk to kings. They're usually friends.
Right. And you'll find that out. I mean,
yeah.
They'll walk in the room and, hey, Jim, hey, Bob, and they'll already know. They may not know they were going to be a part of that group together, but they know each other. And that wall, it just kind of breaks down that defense wall immediately.
And something I've seen pastors do is if they've got an item or an agenda that they, want to talk to a group of people about, they'll find some person who'll be going, why don't I host that and I'll invite some people in.
Yeah. And on the flip side of this, some pastors might think, well, if I invite them into a group, I won't have that one-on-one time. So I tell pastors all the time, twice a year, you should be meeting with your financial leaders one-on-one.
Yeah.
Twice a year. I did that with a church in Georgia a couple years ago, and the pastor has since said to me, the greatest benefit that I derived from the partnership, among other things, was you encouraging me to do that, pushing out our campaign, making time to meet with financial leaders. That's now a rhythm in my ministry. And he said, I'm the one getting the majority of the benefit from it versus them getting the benefit.
And here's how we want to wrap up this time, okay? Is there a time of year from a rhythmic standpoint that's a great time of year to meet? And what's the benefit to the pastor when they do that?
Well, I think the best time is often summertime because people are, not that their guard is down, but they're a little bit more relaxed. They're a little bit more open to going out on the lake or, meeting at the cabin or, whatever the case may be. They may be on vacation or they may be on a sabbatical and they have more time. So I think just time is important. If I were to identify kind of a second best time, quite frankly, it's the season we're in right now. And why I would say that is twofold. Number one,
it's Christmas, by the way.
It is Christmas. Yeah, we're doing this at Christmas time. Thank you for clarifying that. But, it's important that we kind of finish the year checking in with them, making sure they're good. Lots of hurts, lots of emotions come out at this time of year that we might be able to minister to effectively. And it gives us an opportunity when we've developed that relationship deeply enough to even talk about things like year-end giving and how they're participating in year-end giving. So those would be the two seasons I would recommend.
Yeah, summer's fantastic. It's social, it's ball games, it's lakes, it's cookouts. Here's another thing, Pastor. Except for maybe some mission trips, you're not asking for anything.
Right.
And what I've seen pastors do is a financial leader is a leader. They're always looking forward.
Yep.
They're always, thinking that capacity, and they'll say, hey, what's coming up at the church? And as a pastor, you now say, we're still putting all that together, but I'd kind of love your thoughts on it. Here's kind of what we're thinking about. What do you think?
Yeah.
And a couple things. Number one, they'll make your idea better. And number two, you've made them an early adopter. So when you roll that out, they're already bought in.
Yeah.
So
I would just add this one thing. Pastor, don't be afraid to put your financial leaders in situations where they can see their investment actually being utilized.
That's great.
Whether it's locally, nationally, or globally, take them on a mission trip so that they can see where their investment is being tangibly invested and the impact that that's having. That, again, marrying what they're doing to ministry impact and life change, extremely, extremely helpful.
So I want to tell a story about a pastor in Huntington Beach, California. Very wealthy area, obviously. And when we partnered up with him, we encouraged him to meet with his financial leaders. He did not know who they were, so he was really stepping out of his comfort zone to have these meetings. And I asked him, I said, well, what was the impact when you did that? And here's what he told me. I'll never forget it. He said, Brian, where a man's treasure is, there his heart is also. I've never met a group of people who wanted me to win more. They loved my family. They were invested in our family. Good money does not chase bad investments. They wanted the best for our church. They wanted things to succeed. They were like, how can we bless you and how can we make this work? And he said it was those financial leader meetings were the funnest meetings I've ever had, and they became dear friends, and they've continued that relationship and that trust long after the campaign process.
That's great. I love it.
So yeah, any final words that you would have as it relates to pastors discipling financial leaders?
Just, pastors, be bold. I know that this is very intimidating. We're really good in the local church at supporting and acknowledging and even praising service, leadership, all the spiritual gifts, with the exception of giving. And some of your financial leaders, they may not serve tangibly with their hands or their feet, but their giving might be that service. So let's affirm them. Let's pour into them. Don't be afraid. And oftentimes, like I mentioned earlier, what you'll find is that these gatherings, these meetings become more life-giving and beneficial for you than they do even for that financial leader you're meeting with. So step into this with confidence. And again, we would love, Brian's going to allude to this in just a second, we would love to help you with this and give you ideas and share some of our thoughts with you if appropriate.
Yeah, thank you, Chad. We've got a whole document on discipling financial leaders. It's down at the bottom of the page that you're watching. You can just go down there, click on that, download that information. And we've gotten pretty extensive on the behaviors, the characteristics, the attitudes of financial leaders, and how you can best minister to them. And let me say this. Financial leaders, they follow great leaders. And if you're a great leader and you're a growing leader, you probably lead a growing church. So if you're looking to expand in the future or maybe plant a campus or do major renovations or anything of that nature, and you're like, hey, not only do we need to do that and we want to engage our financial leaders, we want to engage our entire congregation as part of that process. Yeah, click the Contact Us button. Member of our team will get in touch with you. Love to hear your story, talk with you through that whole process, maybe get Chad or a member of his team out there to meet with you as well. And we'd love to see you not only disciple financial leaders, but everyone in your church in the area of generosity as you fund and facilitate the ministry God's called you to do. So thank you for your time. I know this has helped me. I hope it's helped you, and God bless.